Good morning, friends. So today we're gonna do even more meal prep, like a whole lot more than I did in the first video. I know I just put out a meal prep video, or if that's the last video I put out. It has been a little while, but I have a lot to do. We are running out of breakfast in the freezer. The pasties, I think we only have like 2 left. We want to do some different flavor combinations with them, different fillings and stuff like that. So I have a list here, and on my list is I have a vacuum sealer coming in the mail. It was supposed to come in today. I think it's supposed to come in tomorrow instead. So I have a huge cheese block that I need to portion out and then freeze it so the whole thing doesn't go bad. So if I don't get to that today, obviously if it doesn't come today, then I'll do it tomorrow. I need to make more pasties and the flavor combinations. I sat down with my husband and he helped me come up with some. So the flavor combinations are going to be, we're going to do breakfast ones. They're going to have like eggs, cheese, bacon, or ham, or sausage. One of those 3 meats. And then we're going to have like a cheeseburger style pasty, which is going to be ground beef, cheese, onions, some Worcestershire sauce, and then some other flavor add-ins. And then we're going to do a pizza style. Instead of doing like a separate pizza crust, we're going to try it with the pasty dough, that hot water crust. So it's going to have some mozzarella and marinara, and then like pepperoni or salami, stuff like that, which actually works out because I just bought salami not even thinking about this list. So I should have some salami to put in there. All right, and then we're going to try to do a chicken and broccoli one, and then a chicken bacon ranch one. I think that will probably be my favorite, I have to guess. And that way we have several flavors to pull from. The last ones that we made, the ones that I made with y'all, they were good. They were delicious. I loved them. They were perfect. But I didn't season them enough, and I kind of regret that. So like they're good, but I have to eat them like with a dipping sauce or something like that. So I'll try my best to season them good enough, but not over salt them or anything. And so yeah, so that's the pasties. Scoot that back there for now. So the other things that we'll be making is I need to make some bagels and some rolls, like large dinner roll size, probably more like a hamburger bun size. My husband requested those. I'm the one who eats the bagels, and I'll be making both of those from the same recipe, which is a Japanese milk bread recipe, and I'll link to all of the recipes that we'll be using. Then I'm going to be making some more waffles to go in the freezer. I just use my Dash mini maker and make like Eggo size waffles, and then I store them in a bag in the freezer and pop them in the toaster. They're perfect that way because then they actually get a little bit crispy on the outside. And then next is going to be making some Jell-O. My husband takes Jell-O in his lunches, and I realize that the Jell-O has, because I'll be using box Jell-O, I realize that has food coloring in it. But so I realized I can make the Jell-O out of juice, and my husband likes juice, but he really likes his lime Jell-O. So even though that has food dyes in it and stuff, I will let him enjoy it and leave him alone. That's what we have today, and I think we should probably get started because I have my work cut out for me. I did buy another bowl to be able to do the hot water crust and pasties and stuff in because it requires such a large bowl. I'm going to get my recipe book out, and then we'll work on the hot water crust and the bread dough first. You know how I said I bought another bowl to for the pasty dough and filling. Guess what? They're stuck. Really don't know how to get these together. Maybe if I run water in between it. There's only like a small opening. I don't know if y'all can see that. Oh, I got it. Okay. So I've got all my butter in here. I'm actually gonna double the pasty dough recipe today. And so I've got 4 cups of butter. It calls for lard. I used butter last time and it worked out perfectly. So I'm gonna continue to do that. I do have a jar of lard in my refrigerator, but I cannot get it open, and every time I try to open it, William isn't here. So I'm gonna wait to open that. I could probably run hot water over it or something like that and do it, but anyway. I'm still waiting on my kettle to finish boiling the water, and while we wait on that, I was gonna show y'all what I found at Goodwill yesterday. So the bowl looks kind of tiny on camera. It's pretty large. Here, I'll take everything out of it. So I went to Goodwill yesterday and I found 2 beautiful bowls. I did a Google image search because I peeled back the label. I haven't taken off the tag yet, but I peeled back the label to kind of see if there was any markings or anything on it, and there weren't. And the smaller one, there's no markings on that one either, but apparently they are Portuguese and they're from the manufacturer Over and Back. I don't know. I'd never heard of that brand before or anything like that, but I just thought they were so pretty. And they're a really dark color, really nice dark blue. Whenever you look close, especially on the big one, you can actually see the crackling of the glaze. I don't know if y'all will be able to see it on camera. It was very hard for me to see. I didn't notice it until I was looking kind of hard at it whenever I got home. Okay, and here's the slightly smaller one. It's got a slightly different pattern, but I thought they were gorgeous. And they are stoneware. In fact, they don't even like clack together. Whenever you set them into each other, they don't clink so hard like a glass bowl, and it doesn't hurt your ears. And I thought that was really cool. Okay, and then the other thing I got was I have an organization video I'm working on, and I needed some sort of vessel that's pretty to put my measuring spoons in. So like my teaspoons, tablespoons, stuff like that. And I found this, it's real English ironstone, which was cool because I never find that at this Goodwill. So, and it was only $3.99. The bowls, the large bowl was $5.99. The small bowl was $4.99. So I thought that was a great deal. And these are just as beautiful, and it's kind of like a ombre effect, like it goes from dark to light, and it looks pretty clean on the inside. I don't know if y'all can really tell, but I'm gonna put my measuring spoons in this because it doesn't have a lid that I would have to take off and worry about losing the lid to it. And then I was so excited when I found this. So sometimes we are able to buy raw milk. There's not any sold like super close to us, so we don't get it all the time. But I like skimming the cream off of the top, and I want to get into making some of our own butter. And this butter paddle, you're supposed to have 2 of these. And sorry, I'm holding spoons. You're supposed to have 2 of these butter paddles and like kind of shape and mold the butter into a big block, kind of like a size of a cream cheese block. But there was only one, but it was only $1.99, and these sell for like $20 on eBay and then brand new. And I thought it was beautiful. It's a nice and smooth wood, and it's got these like grooves in there. I don't know. I just thought it was beautiful. I was so excited whenever I found this. So the last thing I got were these, I call them ice cream spoons. It's got like a small spoon head and then a long slim handle. I don't know if y'all can see the design really good. There you go. And I got 4 of them. They were $1/4 a piece, and they're Northland stainless Korea. There was a pattern of ice cream style spoon that I saw that I liked better, but there's only 1 of them, and I wanted at least 2. And of course I would want them to be matching. So these don't match our current silverware, but that's okay. I just wanted them to match each other. And so yeah, there's a little mini thrift haul for you. Our water is boiling. I'm just gonna fill it all the way up to 4 cups. Pour that boiling water right over our butter. Then 1 carton of butter that I used, or 1 pack of butter that I used, was from the freezer. So it might take a little more effort to get it melted. I hope not. I'm gonna let this sit a little bit because I feel like if I stir it too much, it's gonna cool down too quickly and not get the butter nice and melted. So I'm gonna move this out of the way for a minute, and then set it here. Then I'm gonna move this over here. So I made some yogurt last night from yogurt that I already had. I have my Instant Pot here. It's actually a different brand. It's like a Power Quick Pot. I don't know if the method is the exact same on the Instant Pot, so I would just read your instructions. But so I fill up this with milk, and then I press the yogurt button. It'll heat the milk to the right temperature, and then it'll cool it down, and then it'll beep at me whenever it's time to put the yogurt in. So inoculate it with the yogurt, and then I stir the yogurt in, and then I press the yogurt button again, and it will keep it at the right temperature for however long you want to do it. So I do it at the longest time that it will, and that's 9 hours. And then I even let it sit in there after it was off for a while, because the last time I did that, it actually got thicker. And I'll show you what it looks like. And I'm about to strain it. So I've got just like a stock pot and a strainer. And then this is what my yogurt looks like. Hopefully you can see. And then like the watery parts, that's the whey. And you can actually save the whey and put it in stuff like pancakes and stuff like that. I think it offers a little bit of protein. I'm not sure if it offers any other nutritional value. Right now, it would make a pretty runny yogurt, and then the longer you strain it, the thicker it'll be. And I have strained it, like over-strained it before, and it gotten too thick, and in that case, I would just pour a little bit of the whey back in and stir it up really good, and it'll thin it out. Hopefully this isn't too much for my strainer and cloth. I don't think so. Well, say that, but now. You can see how liquidy it is with how easy it's pouring in there. That's not what we want. Okay, and I'm just gonna pop that in the sink and give it a rinse so it's easier to clean later. Okay, I'm gonna cover that so nothing gets in it. And I'm just gonna leave, I thought I was gonna need this to scrape out that pot, but I want to use it later for this. So I'm gonna leave that right on top, and I'm not gonna put it in the refrigerator. Well, I think I probably should put it in the refrigerator. I say that because we might not have room for the pasty dough if I put it in the refrigerator, but we're gonna have to do something. I had meat thawing out from the freezer in the, actually I'm gonna set it all back here. I had meat thawing out in the freezer for our pasties, and some of it's thawed, thawing out in the refrigerator. Some of it's not. Unfortunately, some meat leaked out and spilled in my refrigerator, so I'm gonna take care of that. All right, we got the meat out thawing, and the one that's leaking, I just set them all on a tea towel for right now because I don't want to open up the packages yet, because I don't know exactly how much meat will end up going through making each type of pasty. So the butter's all melted into the water now. I'm going to give it 10 to 12 cups of flour, and we're gonna start in little by little until it becomes a soft dough, and then all we have to do is refrigerate it for 1.5 hours. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started on that, and I know these aren't level. I'm not too worried about it. Turned out perfect last time. So one, I just can't lose count. This bag was just like overstock that didn't fit into this and didn't fit into my bulk flour storage, which probably could now, but that's okay. I'm just gonna use it up so I don't have a plastic bag around. We were at like almost 7, so maybe a little more for 7. 8. 9. 10. And we'll see where that gets us, because I know some of those were a bit on the heaping side. It's starting to come together, but it's still a little bit loose. And this, whenever it's doubled, it should make 24. So the original recipe will make 12, unless you make them smaller or larger, which I can't imagine you making them larger because they are huge. So that's 11. I feel like we're gonna need another spoon. We might even need more after that. It is one of those recipes where you just kind of have to use your senses and figure out if you need more or less. I think I need a little bit more. I'm gonna continue to add it until it looks a little bit, Here, I'll show you. All right, so the dough is a little bit on the like glossy side. I don't know if y'all can see, but it needs a little bit more. I'm about to take my watch off, and we are about to go in with our hands because even though it's a soft dough, using a spoon like this is cramping my hand up. Okay. I might need that. So. But it doesn't really stick to your hands much because I guess all the fat in it. See, my hands only have a little bit of dough on them. And it feels really nice and like lush. Feels like a very rich dough, which it is. So ends up baking out really nice and light and flaky. I'm wondering though if I need even more flour than that. I think I do. Because it's still pretty oily on the bottom. No, it's not sticking to anything, which is nice. Well, I don't know. It's a pretty good dough. It pulls away from the sides, it stays together. Kind of torn if I should add anything else. Maybe a little bit, because some of it is so oily it's trying to pull apart. I'm gonna wash my hands and then go to get more flour. Okay, I'm back with more flour. We're definitely gonna be using it for some of our other recipes, so I would have to go get more today at some point anyway. I think this is better anyway because now it's a more smooth dough. Before, you could see all the little divots in it. I think it's supposed to be that way. Okay, so I'll show you it now. Then I'm gonna cover it and put it in the fridge, and then we'll take it out. So yeah, y'all can see it's a much smoother dough. It's still very soft to the touch. So our next recipe that we're going to work on is the milk bread. I've made this several times and I love it. So y'all know, if you watched any of my earlier videos, I was making a whole bunch of sourdough discard recipes because I had a lot of sourdough discard. Well, about 2 months ago, I think it was around Christmas, we got busy during the holidays and all that, and I wasn't checking on my sourdough starter that frequently. Now it was doing okay because it was very like robust. I think I had taken care of it good enough earlier on that it still had some strength left. However, we had a problem with like drain flies or fruit flies, and I was trying to catch them all, and then the next day that I checked on my starter, even though it was covered, it had drain flies in it. So I had to throw it out. And it's ironic because I know that you can start a new starter from your sourdough discard. Okay. I had like at least 2 large containers of sourdough discard in my refrigerator at all times because I wanted it as a backup. But then I was like, okay, well, I'm not making things. You know, I got busy and I'm like, I'm not making as many sourdough discard items. I'm gonna run through all of it, use it all up, and then start collecting discard a little bit slower. And I had no sourdough discard left. So I threw it out, and I tried making another one several days later, and it ended up getting moldy. I had to throw that one out. I am going to wait a little while. I want to get back into sourdough just for sourdough bread itself, not for the discard recipes, and see where that takes us. But I think I'm going to wait a little while, take a break from it, and then hopefully whenever I start again, I can be consistent enough with it that it survives. So all that is to say, I started making Japanese milk bread, and I really like it. It has a really nice softness to it. And one of the things you do to make Japanese milk bread is make something called a tangzong. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but you basically mix liquid and flour into almost like a roux, but of course if it was a roux, it would be like fat and flour. This is like milk and flour, and you whisk it until it becomes thick, almost like a gravy, or thicker than a gravy actually, and almost solid. And you let it cool, and then you add it into your bread recipe, but it's really simple. So I'm also going to be doubling this milk bread recipe. So we need 2/3 cup of milk. I'm just going to add it straight into this pan. Alright, and then now I need 4 tablespoons and 2 teaspoons of flour. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Okay. And that's all it is. So I'm going to keep whisking this, and it's on medium heat until it becomes thick, and then I'm going to turn the heat off, take it off, and leave it sit till it's cool. They say room temperature, or some say to actually refrigerate it. I don't do all that, and it works out. So this is actually a stand mixer recipe, which I love. The only issue I've had is whenever I make it, the only issue that I've had is that whenever I don't double the recipe, it doesn't end up being enough dough in the bottom of the bowl for the dough hook to actually grip onto. So I have to do it by hand typically if I only use the recipe for 1 loaf. And we're not making loaves today. Like I said earlier, we're making rolls and bagels. And the rolls, my husband requested that I boil them like a bagel, so they have that nice chewy and golden brown exterior. Definitely starting to thicken up. It's kind of like a thick gravy right now, and I'm gonna let it thicken a little bit more. So I'm gonna show y'all that is the consistency you're looking at. It's gonna make like lines on the bottom of the pan. It's really thick and makes kind of like globs. I'm gonna let this cool off a little bit, and then I'm gonna go ahead and get started putting things in the mixer. So the first thing we need is 6 cups of flour. If you are actually using this recipe to make loaves, each recipe would make 1 loaf. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then we'll see later if we need to add more or less. The last couple times I've made it, I haven't had to add any extra, which is nice, so we shall see. Okay, so next We need to add 2/3 cup of sugar. I have a 1/4 cup in there, so I need to get a 1/3 cup. You can probably hear my heat running. It's cold outside even though I'm wearing a sundress. So 1 and 2. Next we need to add 2.5, I almost said cups, 2.5 teaspoons of yeast. Actually, I lied. 4.5 teaspoons of yeast is what we need. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've been keeping my yeast in the freezer. I just bought it in bulk off of Amazon. So the last time I had yeast, I was getting my other yeast got old. And then since then, I've learned that it needs to be stored in the freezer. And then it'll stay fresh. So we'll see how long my yeast stays fresh in the freezer. So now I need 2 teaspoons of salt. I don't know if salt will actually affect the yeast. I've heard it does, but then I've also heard that it doesn't matter. But I try to put it on the other side so that just in case. Okay, so I can go ahead and mix this up with the paddle attachment, or you can whisk it together. And just get all our dry ingredients incorporated. So I have a whole stick of butter in here that's been melted. It's still pretty warm, and because I don't want to add it in hot and our milk needs to be warm when added, I just like to pour my milk into the butter, and that way it kind of evens out and makes it warm. So both are warm and one's not hot, one's not cold, that kind of thing. And we need 1 1/3 cup of warm whole milk. Let me see if I can just see how much we need on the side. 1 1/3 cup, so that's a 1/2 cup. I think so. So I'm just gonna pour it straight in there. Okay, so the next thing that needs to be added into this is 2 eggs. And since now that it's not hot, the eggs can go in there without cooking. Beat the eggs into this. Probably add our Tangzong in now without killing the yeast. And then we go ahead and add in this mixture too. Once this gets all combined, then we go in with the dough hook and then we leave it running for like 10 minutes. Okay, all the ingredients are swept up from the bottom into the dough, and I can touch it and it's not sticking to my fingers, but it's still very moist. So I'm gonna take this spatula and try to push all this dough off so I can put the dough hook in. forgot to mention, I used, this recipe calls for all-purpose flour, not bread flour. So I really like it for that reason, because at the moment I don't really want to have to worry about, because in this current season I don't really want to have to worry about making sure I have both all-purpose and bread flour on hand. And I really like that I can just use the all-purpose that I have. So this is gonna mix with a dough hook for like 10 minutes or until it becomes like a soft ball of dough. And then I'm actually going to, take the dough out, oil the bowl, put it back, cover it, and then let it rest for like about an hour, hour and a half. Our next recipe is actually going to be a discard pancake recipe, but I always made waffles with it and they turned out great. And I'm going to try to do some substitutions because I don't have discard. So I'm going to go ahead and get my dash maker out. I like to put a tea towel under it because it'll leak like grease as I'm doing it. So I don't want grease everywhere. I'm actually going to double this recipe. I need 4 cups of flour. Okay, so there we go. We might need more than that. We'll see. I need baking soda, baking powder, 2 teaspoons of baking soda. And 4 teaspoons of baking powder. And 4. Now I need 6 tablespoons of sugar. I'm not going to measure that out perfectly. I'm just going to do the 1/3 cup. And I need about 3 cups of milk in this. That's the same measuring cup we used earlier. It just had butter, milk, and egg, so I'm not too worried about it. I did take a quick break after I whipped up the bread dough. The bread dough is actually in a bowl right here, rising, and it shouldn't be too much longer. In fact, whenever we're done with the waffles, I can probably go ahead and prepare the pasty fillings and put those together. Probably should have done this in a larger bowl. Okay, let me see what else needs to be added. I need 4 eggs, some oil, and salt. Should I add vanilla to this? I feel like I should. I have so much of it. Then I may as well. It's basically my recipe now after doing all this to it. It's not the same anymore. I believe I need 4 tablespoons of oil. Yeah, I need 4 tablespoons of oil, 2 teaspoons of salt. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think that's all my oil. good bit of salt, and I'll add in the vanilla. Okay, I'm about to put this whisk aside. Just got some on my cabinets. I'm gonna get a cooling rack out. That way I can use it for the waffles to cool. That way they don't get soggy. And then when they're fully cool, we'll put them in a freezer bag. Careful not to overfill it. All right, we'll see how that turns out. See? Nice and beautiful golden brown. These really don't take that long at all, but I did make a lot of batter, so it'll probably just take a while to get all of them done. But this probably took like, I don't know, 10 seconds. It doesn't have to be perfectly toasty because they're gonna be put in the toaster to reheat anyway. So I'm gonna finish up with these and then I'll bring y'all back whenever we get started on the other stuff. That one almost got burnt. That one's a little too crispy. Okay, so I've got water boiling over here. What I'm gonna do is add a good bit of baking soda to it. When I say a good bit, I'm talking like a 1/4 cup. And it's gonna foam up a lot. That's what gives it the nice crust. And then I'm also gonna add some of my sugar to the water. You could also do brown sugar. I think some people also do like maple syrup, but it just gives it some good flavor. All right, and I have the oven preheating to 350. So I've got my rolls and my bagels. I'm gonna start with these first and just kind of drop them in a few at a time. You want to make sure that your hole of your bagel is larger than you want it because it's gonna puff up and it'll close the hole a little bit. I think I'm just gonna do 3 at a time. And then they'll float. Okay, now I'm gonna take them out. Just put them right back on that pan. Whenever I go to take them out, I try to flip them pretty side up, but it doesn't always happen. Some of them look a little ugly, but that's okay. Okay. So that pan is done. Now I'm gonna worry about doing this pan. So it made 7 bagels and 6 rolls. And the longer you leave it in the boiling water, the chewier it's gonna be. But one time I left it in the water a little bit too long and they puffed out and got even like more, not ugly looking, but just kind of like gnarly. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn off our pot of water. I'm gonna get this other waffle out. That one cooked a little bit too long too. I'm gonna show off the bagels before they go into the oven. Here they are in all their glory. All right, these are gonna go into the oven on the low rack for maybe about 30 minutes or so. I'll just have to keep an eye on them since this isn't what the recipe is actually for. I don't remember how much time I did last time. But it'll be at 350 degrees. Okay, our dough's nice and cold. It's been refrigerating for way longer than it really needed to. But I'm going to take the plastic wrap off. pretty firm. Hopefully it's not too firm. I'm gonna leave it over here on the stove. And then, honestly, I might just grab a handful whenever I want it. I'm gonna try to roll the pasty dough into a neat little ball before I roll it out. Hopefully that'll help us make a nice circle. Remember, I don't think I need flour for this. I think I used flour last time, but our dough might have been a little bit stickier because I don't think I let it refrigerate as long. So I'm gonna let this get as thin as possible. I don't think I mentioned it before, but this time I didn't have to cut up any potatoes for the pasties because my husband preferred them, since there's already the starch being the crust. He didn't really want two starches. So I'm not putting in potatoes this time, although I really enjoyed the potatoes. But I am going to be making them smaller since the bulk of them will be meat. First one I'll probably work on is the breakfast ones. So I'm going to break up these eggs here and mix it with the ham. And then bacon, I'm going to use a good chunk of it, but I'm going to save the rest for the chicken bacon ranch. Stir it in good. I am still going to season this with a little bit of seasoning salt, because I didn't salt any of it. But I'm not gonna go overboard because the bacon and ham should already be a little bit salty. I'm gonna add cheese into this mixture as well, but I think I'm just gonna dot the top of it with the cheese because I sort of like cubed it up instead of getting out all the equipment and stuff to shred it. And I've got mozzarella cheese and white cheddar. So I'm gonna get a good scoop of this stuff. About is it 1 cup or a half cup? About a 1 cup measure of it. Right in the middle there. And then maybe 2 or 3 squares of this cheese. All right, and then I'm gonna try to fold it up and try to do classic pie crust kind of seal where you twist it on itself. Oh, the cheese is trying to fall out. Hopefully these work out and they don't ooze too much in the oven. I'm going to try to keep the moisture content pretty low. Okay, and that, my friends, looks really good. I really like the way that that turned out. I just have to keep them separate between breakfast ones and like lunch ones. Alright, we're gonna work on our next filling. So the next filling I'm gonna do is, I've got a pound of ground beef and a pound of pork. We're gonna do the burger and the pizza one with the meat that I mix up here because I checked my pepperoni and it does not look good, so I threw it out. So in the burger one, I've got some onions. I've actually got onions in both. This is gonna be the burger bowl and this is gonna be our pizza bowl. So I'm gonna add some mustard. Try not to get meat juice all over it. Some ketchup. Good sized pinch of pepper. I'm about to sneeze. Good pinch of salt. burgers, I'm going to actually add some steak seasoning. And then some Worcestershire sauce. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is add some... I'm all sniffly. I'm sneezing a whole lot. Add some mayonnaise to that. And we'll see how these work. I'll be sure to let you know. Okay. I think that's everything that needs to be added to the burger ones. So I'm going to go ahead and mix this up. And I'm going to wash my hands and start putting this mixture into those pasties. So all the burger ones are filled. I marked them with just 1 slash, and then the other ones I'll do 2, then 3 slashes to mark what kind they are. Next, we're going to work on seasoning the pizza flavored one. So I've got some ground pork in here and some onions that are kind of minced up. I'm going to add some onion powder. And then some seasoning salt. Some granulated garlic. Or garlic powder. I just don't have any garlic powder. Alright, and then we're going to add a little bit of marinara. Not much, but just enough to flavor it because I don't want to add too much moisture into these. Shoot, I can't open it. A little bit marinara. Hopefully that's enough. And then I'm going to add a whole bunch of these mushrooms that I kind of minced. I think that's all I wanted to add to this one. So I'm going to go ahead and mix this up. And then we'll scoop it into the pasties. These I made a whole lot smaller than even the breakfast ones. I feel like I made the breakfast ones smaller than the ones we did last time. And then these even smaller than the breakfast ones because these don't have egg or anything in them. It's just ground beef. Half of the mozzarella is going to go into this. I'm just going to go ahead and put it in as cubes. And then I'm going to save some of the mozzarella for some of the chicken ones. I have the pasties in the oven, all that could fit in the oven, for an hour at 350. And I'll only pull them out if they're golden brown. Whenever I check them, if they're not golden brown, I'll let them. I've got some cooked chicken and cooked bacon in this bowl. And then we're going to add in our ranch seasoning. The bacon is already salty, so I'm not going to add salt in addition to the ranch seasoning. Pretty sure it already has salt. Yes, it does. So I want a good bit of that. Give some flavor. And then I'm thinking some onion powder. And some garlic. Okay. We're going to add in the rest of our mozzarella. Yep. The rest of our mozzarella cheese. I'm going to put some mayonnaise in it. That's just going to be to bind it all together. And this one isn't as moist as the other ingredients are, so. We'll go ahead and roll out the rest. So we only have this much of the pasty dough left, so that's not bad. We're over halfway done with it. I think I'm just going to use a half scoop in these as well because I don't have as much to mix in. Okay, these are 4 chicken and broccoli ones. I'm out of filling. I have a little bit more crust, like to make one more thing with it, but I don't have anything to put in it. So I think what I'm going to do is try to make a dessert or something like that. I have some apple pie filling. I might save this, like roll it up in the plastic wrap and put it in the fridge and make like a little apple pie dessert or something later. So these are all the waffles finished. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, Okay, so we've got like about 30 waffles. And then, whoop, it's falling off the edge here. I've got the rolls and the bagels. This bagel turned out pretty good. They are still like soft, but I put the bagels in the refrigerator and it keeps them a little bit chewier if you don't want them to be like soft and fluffy on the inside. And then of course whenever you toast them, that helps make it taste more like a bagel too. And then these are the rolls. They're nice and squishy. I can get y'all to see the squish, how it like springs back. So I'm really excited to have all these. So I've got some water boiling on the stove, and I'm gonna go ahead and cut it off. What I do is I like to make my jello just right in the dish that I'm keeping it in. So pour it in, and then we need 2 cups of boiling water. I don't have any more clean measuring spoons. I don't have any more clean measuring cups, so I'm just going to estimate 2 cups. I think that's about 2 cups. And then I'm going to keep stirring this until all the powder dissolves. I think it's all dissolved. Now I'm gonna add 2 cups of cold water. What I usually do, so I don't have to refrigerate any water or anything like that, I usually get 2 cups of tap water and then add like an ice cube or 2 to it. Now I'm just going to stir it until the ice cubes are melted, and then I'm going to pop this in the fridge for a few hours or until it's set. So William likes Jell-O. I don't like Jell-O. I don't think it tastes very good. I would like it if it had a stronger, fruitier flavor. Or I would like it better, I think, if it had like a stronger fruit flavor. So I want to try making it out of fruit juice sometime and see if I like it then. But he likes taking a cold lunch to work, so he doesn't have to spend extra time heating it up. And he's been enjoying taking Jell-O in his lunches. Pop the lid on this and then pop it in the fridge. These ones on top are done. They're nice and golden brown. Beautiful. Over there. These ones are done too. Yeah, those are done. Those are the orange cheese ones. I'm gonna go ahead and pop the rest of them in, and then the 4 that I have left that don't have a cookie sheet, I'm going to use one of those cookie sheets. So we still have 3 pans of pasties in the oven, but I just wanted to show y'all how much we've done today. Isn't that crazy? That is a ton. So I'll have plenty of breakfast and lunches and more hearty filling breakfast, so I'm really excited about that. This is a chicken bacon ranch one that we broke into the night that we made these, and it is absolutely my favorite flavor, and that's a bun that we made on a burger. The bread items are cool now, so I'm just gonna take some time to bag all of them up, label them, freeze them, and then whenever the pasties are cooled, I'll wrap those up in saran wrap, put them in a baggie, and put those in the freezer as well. I think that's everything, y'all. Thank y'all so much for hanging out with me. I know we got a ton of stuff done. We made like a ton of meals. This is gonna last a really long time, I hope. I'm so beyond blessed to be able to do this and share what I love doing with y'all. Give this video a like if you liked it, and I'll see you next time. Bye!